welcome to the Senior Hour. I'm Dr. Gene Dorio with my co-host Barbara Cochran on your hometown station, AM 1220 and 98.1 FM KHTS. Now, you might be watching us on Facebook and you might not be, but you certainly can hear us, and if my voice is muffled, it's not that anyone is holding their hand over my mouth. I have a mask on, and since I'm a healthcare professional, I deem it necessary to make sure that I don't contaminate our studio here. Dr. Thomas Polucki is with us today on the show. Barbara is not, out of courtesy to her and her safety, but Dr. Thomas Polucki is here, who is a healthcare professional. And of course, on all of our minds and on my face, with my face mask, we're talking about coronavirus, COVID-19. And, it's hit everybody hard. We have restrictions socially in the community. We know that this is highly contagious. We know that it's already spread probably. We just haven't done the testing. And we're going to need to know how to handle this for today and for the future, because this is not the last time. It might be the last time in a decade or two, but our children and grandchildren, I believe, will learn from this experience. So let us hope that as we go through this time, that those here in Santa Clarita do not get ill, their lives are not jeopardized, but that the information that we gain will help and aid those in the future to make sure they're okay. So, Dr. Polucki, thanks for being on the show today. We appreciate your being here, and it is a difficult time for all of us right now, isn't it?
It's always a pleasure to be here. And yes, if not for the safety concerns, certainly for the economic concerns, our community is reeling with this. So far, it's kind of a voluntary lockdown. The state and county has enforced that all unnecessary services have been locked down, and that is a very real financial burden for small businesses throughout Santa Clarita. But I'd like to focus on what you can be doing to reduce your risks. I mean, obviously follow the CDC. I'm not ever going to contradict anything they're saying as far as their social distancing, their washing, but I'd like to step it up a notch and actually give people a little bit more understanding about why these measures are in place and what they actually mean. First of all, what a virus is, how it affects a person's immune system, what are the danger signs, what are the early warning signs, what are the precautionary measures that go beyond simple hygiene, washing your hands and not coughing in someone's face, not coughing into your hand or sneezing or those kinds of things, which should just be common courtesy, but now we're learning that it can really be serious. So there's all that. There's about 4 months of really good statistics on this current epidemic, pandemic. I don't know. They are promoting this. They are using this in every form of media, claiming that it is an epidemic, it is a pandemic, and it does not fit the definition of that term. Right now, we're looking at, just from the numbers alone, the Wuhan numbers, it does not fit the definition of a pandemic, an epidemic, as far as the percentage of fatalities involved to the percentage of people affected. Just because there is a spreading virus out there doesn't mean it necessarily qualifies for those definitions. But all that is thrown out when you get to the media. So there's possibly some misinformation out there, and I don't want to get into that so much as far as what a virus is, how your immune system responds to it, how to maximize your immune potential. Because with the new science of immunology is understanding that it's not the virus that kills you. It is your immune system's response to the virus that kills you. A virus isn't even alive. It's just a little packet of genetic information that's encoded with a layer of fat. So how do you manage the risk of becoming exposed to that new genetic information being introduced into your system, which can set your immune system into this, especially if it's not optimized, this very dysfunctional state that can lead to very serious complications. And that's what I'd like to get to about in the show. First of all, I am not an epidemiologist. I am not a virologist, but I am quoting the world-renowned experts in their respective fields with everything I say. This is not my opinion. I would not promote my opinion on this thing. I am promoting the people who are the world-renowned experts in their respective fields of epidemiology, virology. They're professors. They are heads of departments for evidence-based medicine, researchers around the world, and people who have been in the trenches in Wuhan, seeing this from day one. They're already past it. They're not having new episodes, and they're going to remove the lockdown officially in Wuhan in a couple of weeks. Now, this is a unique opportunity to give us a 3-month advanced screening of how this whole thing can play out and learn from their success stories, their statistical outcomes, the mistakes they made in this, instead of just looking at the way things are played out in the media, actually looking at the numbers, looking from a scientific point of view. What are we dealing with? What is the historical evidence on this? What are the numbers actually telling us, instead of this fear-mongering, doomsday profiteering that's going on in so much of the media exposure?
Yeah. Now, I know that the media in many respects will amplify many things. With this, I'm a scientist, and I agree, we're not experts, but there really aren't any experts out there right now. Whether you're got all these degree titles behind you, nobody is an expert. But we do become expert when it comes to looking at statistics.
Yeah.
Statistics are key and important. And if you look at the facts and take the statistics and analyze them and dissect through them, that should allay some of the hype and emotion that is put out there. So
that's what I want to focus on.
For all our listeners, understand there's emotion to this. There's fear. There can even be panic. But we don't want it to go overboard.
Absolutely.
But if you focus on numbers, that will make the difference. So let's go through this. Let's talk about what a virus is.
Okay. So a virus is not alive. It's just a packet of protein, of genetic material that's thinly coated with a fat, a little drop of fat. Now, since it's not alive, you can't kill it. You can't kill a virus. There's no such thing as a viricide. What happens is, if you expose that genetic material, it automatically degrades on itself. It can only survive if it is inserted into the nucleus of a cell. So the key is, how do you get that fat layer off of the virus as quickly as possible to allow it to self-degrade without becoming exposed to that new genetic material being inserted into your DNA? That's the key.
Yeah,
How does that?
This is an RNA virus, a
Right.
ribonucleic acid virus.
Yeah.
And it invades our cells and changes it and makes us susceptible.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so there are different ways that, it's a fat covered and it's got receptors on it and attack points. And scientists are trying to figure out how we are going to disable this. And there are many scientists around the world that know the big thing was right after this virus was found, the DNA was figured out as well. And they published that information so that scientists around the world could help then to figure out the ways that we can stop this from replicating and becoming a problem.
Okay, I want to touch on that for a second and then get back to practical information that people can use as far as handling materials, which materials will hold a potential threat with a virus and how long they will hold it for, and ways to protect yourself against all of those different contact points. Now, that being said, I'd like to backtrack about something you just said. The new technology has allowed us to unlock the genetic code of this thing faster than ever before. I believe one company was able to do it in 48 hours and one company was able to do it in 72.
Isn't
and they
that
are
something?
currently working on viable vaccine options. However, here's the thing. I think the media is pushing towards a premature release of this vaccine, which could be very dangerous. There are reasons that these safety points are put in place, the trials, the tests, in order to find out. There are enough complications with well-studied, well-vetted vaccines to have a very real concern about something being put out that is not properly tested, that is not put through the proper process, and that by all clinical standards is about a year. About a year to properly test this thing before you just say, okay, everybody should get this.
So let's make sure that our listeners understand the difference between a vaccine, which is not a treatment. A vaccine is when we give you maybe an injection. It could come orally, but it's particles that make your immune system produce antibodies, so that the next time you come in contact with a similar particle that might be a virus, your body will act right away. The immune system will act up. So a vaccine is something that, like you said, it takes a while, and it has to be done in a systematic way that is proven to work, but it's not a treatment. And so there are different, we're talking about a vaccine down the line, but there's treatment plans, and that's where I go back to the 4 areas of a virus, of the RNA, that we could debilitate and stop it from causing problems in our body.
Yeah, I absolutely want to get to that in this show. We got to be watching the clock to make sure that we get to all of this.
We can talk all day about this.
Exactly. So, but prior to that, I want to talk about the viability, the danger time frame of viral exposure. Like, how do you make sure that you're not unintentionally either contaminating someone else or contaminating yourself with viruses? There's a lot of things that need to be. First of all, you need to understand that this genetic material is only viable if that fatty coating on the virus is still intact. There are ways to disable that fatty coating, and I'm talking about in the environment, not once you're infected. I'm talking about not getting infected in the first place.
Good.
Because a fully functional immune system is going to eat this virus for breakfast. It's not that horrible. Now, there are some things that will increase your risks of having a bad reaction to this virus if you are infected, and I hope to get to that as well. However, let's start with avoiding the contamination in the first place.
Right, good job.
So that fatty surface is the only thing protecting this genetic material, and eliminating that fatty surface eliminates the risk almost instantaneously, because that genetic material immediately breaks down. It has no way of getting into your body once it's exposed. It's the fat protection that makes this thing dangerous. So it can stay on your clothes, non-porous surfaces for up to 4 hours. That genetic material is still has a way to get into your body. If it's on your clothes, if it's on any kind of a porous surface, if it's on any kind of metal, depending on a lot of different factors, humidity and UV exposure, things out in the sunshine. UV destroys that coating almost on contact. And I'm going to give you a whole list of things that will and will not destroy that fatting coating. There's some misinformation going on out there right now about, okay, so let's make a do-it-yourself sanitizer. Let's make, okay, so you can't get the hand sanitizer. Let's make it out of aloe vera and vodka. Okay, here's a problem with that. Yeah, no. Here,
you said vodka, so I just want to make sure people understand.
That is not my advice. I'm telling you why that is really bad advice.
Right. But I'm just saying that people are doing this.
Yes. Yeah. And just getting a bottle of vodka and spraying it around. Here's the problem with this, because some people didn't pay attention in biochemistry class. In order to strip that fatty coating off of that genetic material on a virus, you need 70% alcohol. Now, that's very common in rubbing alcohol, which you can't find on the shelves.
Right.
But it's very uncommon in any kind of drinking alcohol. Just to put it into perspective, in order to get an alcohol, a booze that is powerful enough to kill a virus, you've got to deal with like 151 rum, because that is actually 76% alcohol. You need to breach that 70% alcohol in order to strip away the fatty coating. Vodka is only 40% alcohol. It is not going to disable a virus. It's impossible. It doesn't work that way. Now, here's the best. The best by far is soap. Soap is a natural thing that rips apart that fatty coating and makes the virus unviable. I keep saying that. I'm sorry. It makes the virus no more threat. It's not. A virus is never alive, but it can threaten any living cell by injecting its genetic material in. You disable that threat by stripping away the fatty coating. Soap is great. Detergent is great. 70% alcohol is great. Here are some common myths. Things like vinegar, not going to happen. In order to make bleach appropriate, sure, straight on bleach is going to do it, but you can't spray that on most surfaces. No. That's going, that's only for hard surfaces. And I do recommend that on something like plastic, especially something coming in the mail. That virus can stay on cardboard, can stay on paper, can stay on plastic, all the things that are coming to you from Amazon because you're no longer going to the store to buy stuff. All of that stuff can have a dangerous virus on it. So if you don't have the ability to expose that thing to over 100 degrees of heat for a sustained period, that hot heat will strip away that fat coating. Soap, detergent, Clorox is a 1 to 5. You take regular laundry bleach, one part laundry bleach to 5 parts water, and that is a very powerful disabler of that fat coating. The problem is you can't spray that on most things. You're going to bleach your whole house. It doesn't work like that. So you've got to find some other options available for you. Alcohol has to be at 70%, and ultraviolet is great. If you have good sun, that may be all it takes. Leave it out in the sunshine for a couple of hours, and you're pretty safe to go. So that is how you can limit your exposure. Gloves are hard to find anymore, but that's great protection. Let's say you can't, and you can't get the hand sanitizer either. Here's my concerns with the hand sanitizers and the gloves. A virus cannot penetrate healthy skin. However, it can penetrate damaged skin. And with all of this constant hand sanitizing, there is a good likelihood that you're damaging your skin with this. So every night, everybody should be using moisturizer to try to get their skin as resilient, as good a barrier as possible. And in the meantime, washing your hands is still by far the best prevention method. The problem is you can't carry around a sink with you. You can't wash your hands in soap and hot water 24/7 with every surface that you touch. So, and if you're not wearing the doctor's gloves, the rubber gloves, this nitrile or latex gloves, any porous surface, any kind of cloth glove can hold that virus for days. For days, depending on how moist it is and what kind of material it's made out of. By far, the plastic materials, the man-made synthetic materials, 3 days. It can hold that virus's danger, potential exposure for up to 3 days.
So when we come back, I mean, this is great information for our listeners, but when we come back, let's talk about the other things that you can do, because we talk about washing hands, distancing, social distancing, but what are the other things that we might be able to do related to our clothes, like washing your clothes, washing your hair, things like that? What can we do to help after you've tried to protect yourself? What are the things we could do to lessen the chance of exposure, because maybe we brought this home to our family?
Right.
So we're going to take a break right now. I'm Dr. Gene Dorio on your hometown station, 1220 AM and 98.1 FM KHTS.
This is Senator Scott Wilk. If you're unable to work because you have COVID-19, are caring for an ill or quarantined family member, have reduced hours, or unable to work due to quarantine, you may be eligible for a state employment assistance program. Please visit the California Employment Development Department's website at www.edd.ca.gov. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Rick Garcia. With the new safe-at-home orders that went into effect, many of us here in Santa Clarita have questions regarding restaurants, home delivery, and pickup. Local restaurant dining rooms have been ordered to close. However, home delivery and pickup, including curbside service, is fine and is encouraged. There are many delivery services in the SCV, including Grubhub, Postmates, Uber Eats, DoorDash, and WeGo. Many restaurants and these delivery services are offering specials during this time. Please go to hometownstation.com and click on the red coronavirus banner. Then go to restaurants. There you'll find a comprehensive list of what our local restaurants are offering in the way of takeout, delivery, and curbside pickup. Continue to follow the safe-at-home order and stay safe. Let's work together to flatten the curve.
The best live theater can be found right here in the Santa Clarita Valley. The Canyon Theater Guild has been entertaining audiences for decades with top-quality musicals and plays. Located on Main Street in Old Town Newhall, CTG also offers workshops for the young actor in your family. For more information, call the box office at 799-2702 or go online to canyontheater.org. KHTS.org.
Do you suffer from peripheral neuropathy in your hands or feet? One drug after another, continuing numbness, tingling, burning pain, balance problems, decreased quality of life? Are you experimenting with drugs like Lyrica, Neurontin, gabapentin, Cymbalta with limited success and your doctor telling you just have to live with it? My name is Dr. Thomas Polucki, DC, host of Get Better with Dr. Polucki and founder of Neuropathy Dr. X. I'm here to tell you that there is now a non-invasive natural solution to your neuropathy right here in Santa Clarita. A solution that addresses the underlying causes, and we're proud to say that we have an 87 to 97% success rate with neuropathy sufferers in getting their lives back. I'd like to invite you to our next seminar, when we'll teach you how to reverse this deadly condition that affects over 50 million Americans today. To reserve your spot now, call 753-9340. This is a free seminar, but seating is limited, so call 753-9340 now.
At Advanced Audiology, we know how important hearing is to you, your loved ones, your work success, your safety, and your ability to stay in the game. Most people won't admit hearing loss to themselves or others. We make it easy for you. Today's digital hearing aids come in a variety of styles, including invisible. All feature-rich, providing unparalleled hearing quality, wearing comfort, and automation that simplifies your life. Don't be fooled by our imitators. There's only one Advanced Audiology with the purple sign next to AAA on Valencia Boulevard.
We all know sometimes people lose their way. If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, the Way Out Recovery SCV may have the answers you've been waiting for. The Way Out is the premier intensive outpatient treatment center serving Santa Clarita. Asking for help is the first step. Call The Way Out today, 661-296-4444. That's 296-4444 for a private free assessment. The Way Out is an accredited, affordable outpatient program that accepts most insurance. Call us at 661-296-4444 or check us out online at thewayoutrrecoveryscv.com. Quit battling with yourself. Ask The Way Out for help today.
Wash your hands, avoid sick people, and touching your face. There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. Brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Your hometown station.
Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64?
Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Dr. Gene Dorio on your hometown station, 1220 AM and 98.1 FM, KHTS. We're talking with Dr. Thomas Polucki in a very educational and interesting conversation, of course, about COVID-19, the coronavirus. And, you know, we talked about washing hands and trying to protect ourselves from getting the virus infection. But we have to remember beyond that, there are other things that one can do to keep you from bringing the virus home to your family. What are those things?
Sure. As we mentioned in the earlier segment, this virus can be a threat for up to 72 hours on synthetic clothing, which is what most stuff is now. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like one of those doomsday movies as far as decontamination, stripping down and washing materials immediately, not re-wearing clothes or even bringing certain clothes, especially in our setting where we're dealing with the public and possibly even contaminated sick people, bringing it home to us. So certain procedures are going to make better sense. Stripping down, throwing the stuff right into the wash. As long as that water is at the temperature of a fever, which is designed, we're going to get to that in a second, designed to destroy the danger of a virus. One of the best things that nature has ever come up with is the inflammatory process. We're going to talk about that in a second. All it takes is 101 degrees, and some research shows that it doesn't even take that much, but certainly 101 degree fever lasting for 24 hours or less should not be considered a problem. It should be considered the best response to being contaminated with any kind of infectious agents. Nature has a lot more experience at dealing with these things than we do. So getting back to that for a second, our new understanding of how the immune system actually works is that it's not the virus that does the damage. It's our immune systems freak out overreaction to this that causes all the damage, especially in sudden acute respiratory distress. So that, or disease, that's what this thing is. We saw a preview of this a couple years ago with the SARS thing, and this is its cousin. This is actually SARS-CoV-2. It got its own, and by the way, COVID is just short for coronavirus. It's the second version of a sudden acute respiratory disease, distress syndrome, whatever. The real problem is not the virus. It's a dysfunctional immune response to being exposed to this virus that is killing people. So
our immune system is overreacting in its attempt. You talked about fever, but the body has a way of launching out cells that will says that you're under attack and will try to stop the attack. But when it does that, it also then affects good tissue.
Yeah. So the damage comes from your immune response. The damage in the lungs, that is the thing that kills people with this, is coming from your immune system. It's not coming from the virus itself. So we have found that certain treatment protocols actually amplify that effect, dysregulate that effect, and puts people who would normally not be at a high risk into that high risk category. Now, this is going to be controversial. It's not commonly...
Everything is controversial right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not commonly put out there in the media right now. In fact, there's a lot of people who don't agree with this. However, this is not my opinion. I am parroting France's health minister, the British Medical Journal, the professors of pharmacology, the professors of primary care research, the professors of virology from around the world when I make these statements. So please, you want to send me hate mail, send me hate mail. I don't care. This is not my opinion. This is the world-renowned experts on this. They share the opinion that ibuprofen absolutely magnifies the risk of putting you into a high-risk category when exposed to this particular kind of virus, this respiratory distress, because ibuprofen's particular anti-inflammatory properties promotes an aggravation of that specific kind of immune response that is the most dangerous scenario in being exposed to this kind of a virus.
The nice part about what you are saying is that people have heard this, and studies have been launched now to help us determine is there positive or negative effects from non-steroidal anti-inflammatories. So I think this question will be answered in the near future. So it's controversial right now, but I think within less than a year's time, we will have the studies, 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 studies from the countries you mentioned, telling us, is this so or is this not so? Should we avoid non-steroidals? So
well, I'm hoping those studies aren't funded by the manufacturers of these medications, because then we are going to have continuous misinformation on this for several years, and hundreds, if not thousands, of people will die in the process. Right now, it actually makes biochemical sense to stay away from these anti-inflammatories.
By the
and
mechanism.
That's the side I'm siding with. It makes sense that these particular anti-inflammatories are giving a viral infection the upper hand of creating more damage in your immune system. And let's move away from that for a second and just talk about how do you optimize an immune system in order to not have this freak out when exposed. Now, obviously, it's not going to change things for the high risk groups. There are strategies in place right now. There is the compassionate medicine approach using some anti-malarial drugs and some even some anti-AIDS drugs and a combination of intravenous vitamin C. Okay, that's all in the emergency mode. I'm talking about what can the average person do prior to the emergency mode. How do you make sure that you don't wind up on a ventilator? How do you prevent this from ever getting to this emergency state? I am going to put my neck out and side with the people who think that maybe anti-inflammatories are not a great approach on this thing. It just makes sense from a biochemistry point of view. I'm going to side on that. While the jury is out, I think it's better to use that precaution.
And I think that's a fine opinion. For me as a scientist, I'm going to look at the data when it finally comes out. But I can say one of the things that will make one susceptible, and we found this out a long time ago, if you smoke, if you vape, you could be in trouble. Now, there are other things that could cause problems. You could be in a job where you have to wear a mask and you have been exposed to certain metals and things like that that could make you susceptible. There are simple things you could do, like you can make sure your filter in your home for air conditioning and heating is changed. You can make sure you're not using aerosolized products around your house, and you can make sure that they had the plug-in air fresheners.
Yeah, those fragrances.
Those are when they heat up the oil, and the oil is in the air with the smell on it, which is great. But the problem is that it can get into your lungs as well. So candles can do the same thing.
Sure.
So if you have a fireplace, it can do the same thing. So you have to think about what are the things that could make your lungs susceptible, because that's where it targets. That's where why they're saying ventilator, and they say ventilator, respirator, same thing. These people, when they can't breathe for themselves, they have to be on a machine. And that machine is what they are screaming and yelling for these days, because that keeps people alive, because your lungs are the target.
Yeah.
So protect your lungs right now.
Yep, absolutely. So one of the strategies, and again, not my opinion, Dr., and I'm going to slaughter this name, Ayodori holds 4 degrees from MIT, is a doctorate of biological engineering, and he strongly proposes boosting the immune system in a way that most people would not think is real. But I have, because of the kind of doctor that I have chosen to be for the past 35 years, I understand this. But a lot of people out there aren't going to necessarily say, oh, that is what I would do. Now, a lot of people understand the value of vitamin C. There's good scientific research on
Linus Pauling research.
vitamin C, as far as not only preventing, but also being able to treat people with viral infections, especially upper respiratory infections. The other two that we're seeing more and more, especially in recent years, and then there's a surprise. In recent years, the widespread acceptance of vitamin D deficiency out there, mostly due to the fear of sunshine, we're not going to get into that. And the dietary restrictions that almost strip naturally occurring vitamin D out of our bodies and has created a absolute worst case scenario for being exposed to any virus. Vitamin D is not just about bone health. Vitamin D plays critical roles in several steps of an appropriate immune response. And without enough vitamin D, none of that stuff takes place. That is not an opinion, that is an absolute scientific fact, and it is pretty much globally accepted. So vitamin D is a critical link in this thing. Vitamin C is a critical link in this thing. The new weapon on treating viral infection is vitamin A, and the numbers are so much higher than what you see on that RDA list on the side of your vitamin pack.
Yeah, I've always recommended the antioxidants for my patient, vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin C, and vitamins in general, multivitamins. You know, we don't always know for which people it will help, but there's clearly for my older adults, they have done better on these over-the-counter medications. And you said that you didn't want to butcher the researcher's name, Iodori.
Yeah.
You think it's not Dorio?
Close enough.
Because that is me.
No,
I Dorio too.
It's not you. It's not you. Unless you've got 4 degrees from MIT that I don't know about.
I do,
Do
as
you?
a matter of fact.
Oh,
People
okay.
just didn't know it. We're going to take another break. This is a fascinating conversation and educational for our listeners. I'm Dr. Gene Dorio on your hometown station, AM 1220 and 98.1 FM KHTS.
This is Senator Scott Wilk. If you're unable to work because you have COVID-19, are caring for an ill or quarantined family member, have reduced hours, or unable to work due to quarantine, you may be eligible for a state employment assistance program. Please visit the California Employment Development Department's website at www.edd.ca.gov. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Rick Garcia. With the new safe-at-home orders that went into effect, many of us here in Santa Clarita have questions regarding restaurants, home delivery, and pickup. Local restaurant dining rooms have been ordered to close. However, home delivery and pickup, including curbside service, is fine and is encouraged. There are many delivery services in the SCV, including Grubhub, Postmates, Uber Eats, DoorDash, and WeGo. Many restaurants and these delivery services are offering specials during this time. Please go to hometownstation.com and click on the red coronavirus banner. Then go to restaurants. There you'll find a comprehensive list of what our local restaurants are offering in the way of takeout, delivery, and curbside pickup. Continue to follow the safe-at-home order and stay safe. Let's work together to flatten the curve.
The minute I open my door,
Debbie Morris has a problem.
I say, oh my gosh,
A really big problem.
the dog, the cat, my 3-year-old.
Debbie's house is a mess.
How can one family create this disaster?
Debbie needs Made for You.
I need help.
Professional, residential, and commercial cleaning, locally owned. You choose the schedule: weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, or even one-time seasonal cleaning. Call 255-2922. That's 255-2922. Made for You.
Made for You rescued me.
This is a Rita's Daybreak. There's a huge crowd at Rita's. With so many amazing flavors, every day's a treat. Let's see what folks are celebrating.
I lost my first tooth. No more training wheels. My dog photo got 37 likes.
3 kids, 3 activities, 0 meltdowns. There you have it. Layer it, blend it, or drink it with Italian ice and creamy custard. So many reasons to celebrate at Rita's. This has been a Rita's Daybreak.
At Advanced Audiology, we know how important hearing is to you, your loved ones, your work success, your safety, and your ability to stay in the game. Most people won't admit hearing loss to themselves or others. We make it easy for you. Today's digital hearing aids come in a variety of styles, including invisible. All feature-rich, providing unparalleled hearing quality, wearing comfort, and automation that simplifies your life. Don't be fooled by our imitators. There's only one Advanced Audiology with the purple sign next to AAA on Valencia Boulevard.
Wash your hands, avoid sick people, and touching your face. There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. Brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
It's like no other station I've ever listened to. It's great.
Your hometown station.
Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64?
Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Dr. Gene Dorio on your hometown station, AM 1220 and 98.1 FM KHTS. We're talking with Dr. Thomas Polucki, and I'm talking, and I might sound muffled, but I do have a mask on, and this is a time where we are working to protect ourselves physically. How about, Dr. Polucki, how about emotionally? How about the fear, the anxiety, the worry, those effects that have on our patients and our older adults?
Absolutely. So one thing we do know about a healthy immune response is how stress absolutely dampens the immune response. And this 24/7 fear campaign, whether it is appropriate or not, is definitely having a psychological effect on people. Telling people that they have to stay in. They're not even allowed to go to parks anymore. They're not allowed to socialize. They're not allowed to have a group of more than 10 people. Here's the thing. In 2 months, regardless of all the fear-mongering, doomsday profiteering going on right now, most of us are going to survive this. Now, how are we going to come out the other side of it? Unfortunately, for a lot of us, we're going to put on some weight. We're going to be more toxic. We're not going to be in as good a shape. We're not allowed to go to the gym. And most people will not take the discipline to exercise at home. I've created some strategies in order to help. I have a free online program. It is on the KHTS Coronavirus Experts page, a link to my free program.
Yes,
it's 30 days, 30 days of mindfulness exercises. And I know that may be a new concept, but it is a non-religious form of, for lack of a better word, prayer or meditation, but there is no religious connotation in it whatsoever. Not saying that there's anything wrong with prayer or meditation. I'm just saying for a lot of people that's like, I don't want any part of that. But focusing on things in a very positive, unconditionally positive light is pretty much the standard in science. So we call it mindfulness. There's 21 of those programs with a whole worksheet of focusing on the positive, focusing on all the things that we know can help. Bernie Siegel, amazing technology from 40 years ago. He was a cancer specialist who was helping his patients get so much better results regardless of whether they choose chemo or radiation or nothing at all, simply by getting them to focus on the positive aspects of their life and all of that. And there, in addition to that, there are simple exercises that anybody can do. I'm not recommending you start a boot camp extreme workout exercise. We know that is depleting the immune system, but certainly walking whenever possible, out in the fresh air, out in the sunshine, some basic yoga movements, nothing too extreme, but certainly some stretching exercises and daily recipes of the most healthy foods available. And maybe that stuff isn't available, maybe, but here's my thing. Every time that I go out shopping, I look, and much of the dry goods, much of the canned goods, much of the pre-packaged foods, much of the convenience food are stripped from the shelves. Meanwhile, the produce aisles are stacked full to capacity. Now, this has been my pet peeve for the past several decades, that you should only shop on the edge of the store and stay out of the aisles. All of that stuff that has a shelf life is not ideal nutrition, especially when trying to boost your immune system. Those live foods, those fruits, those vegetables are the best medicine when it comes to this stuff. Daily recipes planned out for you, so you don't have to go through this whole learning curve of how do I eat right. It's all there for you. Free. Step-by-step process for 30 days. It's the Healthy Living COVID-19. Once again, it's free on the KHTS Coronavirus Experts page.
Please take a look at that, because our lives have been disrupted. There's no doubt about it. But we can bring ourselves back to where we were before by keeping a solid state of mind, by exercising and eating right. So don't think for a second that you, just because this is all happening and because every moment and every newspaper, every television show, and even this show, we're talking about a problem that we are facing. But be positive, because it will make a huge difference. Dr. Thomas Polucki, thanks for being on the show. People need to get a hold of you. How do they do that?
661-753-9340, and please download the free program, Healthy Living COVID-19. It's on the KHTS Coronavirus Experts page.
Great job.
Thank
Great
you.
conversation.
Thank
Super
you.
education. We appreciate it. We are
Always.
sponsored by Comfort Keepers In-Home Care and Advanced Audiology. Listen to us next week on the Senior Hour. Now go and enhance your quality of life.